Right, come on, you four-eyed fat-faced fool. Tell us what's going to be in the new podcast from the two mics.
Well, plenty of buffoonery from you and lots of sense from me. What else?
Look at the light! Look at the light! Look at the light!
I am a unit.
This is Talk Sport Extra Time. I'm Mike Graham, and it's that time of the morning to say a very good morning to Mr. Mike Porky Parry. Very good morning to you, Mr. Parry.
A very good morning to you, Mike. I've got an update on the Sweeney situation I told you about last night.
Have you?
An instant update.
Well, don't do the update just yet, because
Why?
I want to ask you what's happened to your beard. Your beard is looking slightly strange. I don't know.
No.
I can't quite put my finger on it. It looks like you've kind of hacked it away.
No, I haven't hacked it away.
What have you done to it?
Is this relevant?
Well, I think it is relevant.
Is this relevant to our radio show?
Well, it is slightly, because
You
I'm
know,
looking...
my visage, is
Well,
that...
yeah,
what's that
because you
got to do
look- well,
with
because you look
the
different.
price of fish?
Well, it's slightly throwing me, because you look a little bit different.
Well,
You look very healthy, actually. You look quite well.
You've had all evening to discuss this with me if you wanted to. Now
Well, I've only just really noticed it, though.
You've only noticed it
I
on
was
the
looking
lights
at
in
you.
the
You know,
studio.
well, because you know when you see somebody every day, and you don't always notice something that's different.
Yes.
And I did think there was something different, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it. But now under the lights of the studio,
Yes.
And where the shadows
what
are falling,
happened is,
I can see that it looks a bit different from yesterday.
I'll tell you because you want to know.
I do.
The audience don't want to know.
Well, you might
because it's
have
not
to put a
interesting
picture
to
out,
them.
because you do look a bit different.
All that happened was one of my brothers-in-law. I've got two.
Uh-huh.
So I've got two sisters. Each one is married. That's normal.
Well, that is normal.
And one of them bought me I think it's called a baby belling or something.
Baby belling.
Yeah, and it's a face trimmer.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like the sort of
face
thing,
trimmer.
Yeah, it's the sort of thing that you see in a bar, not a barber's shop, a hairdresser's.
Uh-huh.
And it's
You trim your face with it.
Yeah, that's right. You press a switch, it goes bzzz, and it's metal at the end. But then you can clip the sort of hairdressing equivalent of a farmyard implement on the
Oh,
end.
right, okay.
You know, that sort
so
of
have
thing.
you got lots of different attachments?
Yeah,
for it
that's
then?
right, yeah, yeah.
Did you think? I think you may have used the wrong attachment then.
No, the thing was, I forgot to put the attachment on.
Ah.
So when I started running it through my beard,
Yeah.
instead of it trimming like a quarter of an inch or half an inch,
Yeah.
it went straight to the skin.
It started shaving it all off.
Yeah, and once you plough a furrow through your beard,
Yeah.
which looks a bit like a combine harvester going through a cornfield,
Yeah.
if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
Once that's done one side, then you've got to even it up around.
Yeah, but the
Yeah.
cornfield generally looks quite symmetrical.
Yeah,
Your beard's
yeah.
actually disappeared, hasn't it?
It has, to all intents and purposes,
Yeah.
gone, I'm afraid. Yeah,
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Actually, it suits you, though. Looks better.
Well, it's the first time I've used it, and I'm going to have to read the instructions booklet because, to start off with, it's taken me since Christmas to work out how to charge it up.
Have you?
That's why I haven't used it before now.
Right.
It's
So how many different kind of attachments does it have, then?
about 12.
12?
Yeah, about 12.
What,
yeah.
so one for your face, one for your beard, one for your
No,
nose?
no.
One for your eyebrows?
No, well, there are a few of those things, but basically, it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of the same appliance, but for a different depth of
Oh, I
shaving
see.
the beard.
Right,
you see what I
okay,
mean?
right.
So long, short, nothing, all that kind of stuff,
Right.
you know.
Tim Howard.
And that's right, yeah, and that sort of went wrong. So it's a bit of a nuisance because also you're not supposed to use it on your skin without an attachment on the top.
Yeah.
So I've actually, got very sore skin now.
Have you?
And
Because you've often said that when you take a beard off and you haven't done that for many years,
Yeah.
The skin underneath is kind of like, you described it as
Well,
like liver. It actually doesn't look that bad.
Yeah, well, Ringo Starr did it after 20 years and was told not to because his doctors told him the effect of the sunlight on that skin that hadn't seen any for so long could be dangerous,
Right.
I mean, like almost cancerous, you know what I mean?
Well, you won't be going out in the sun, will you?
No, I won't be going out in the sun, A, because there isn't any sun, and B, I don't like the sun anyway. But I mean, that's largely irrelevant, Mike. For you to suddenly hit on me and my
no, I just
personal
wanted an explanation.
my personal visagery, right?
Visagery.
Visagery, which is, the way your face looks,
Yeah.
and, you should be more aware
I
of
think
it
it looks
than-
good. I think it looks better.
Yeah, no, you're just winding me up now. You're
No,
just
I'm
trying
not.
to
I
wind
do
me up.
think it looks better.
Yeah,
I'll
but
tell
now
you
you've
what.
alerted everybody, and now you want to put a picture
I
out.
will.
So,
I'll take a picture if you come, in a little while. when
Yeah,
we've got
because what
some
you
time.
really want is you want the audience to mock me, don't
Not
you?
at all. I want them to agree with me that you actually look better. And,
I think you're trying to. I think you're trying to soften me up because you know how heavy I'm going to get with you on the quiz later on in the show.
Well, it's a big subject for you. World
course it's a
War II,
big
isn't it?
subject.
You talk about it an awful
Yeah,
lot.
yeah.
There's some great questions, I have to say.
Yeah. There are.
There are.
I see. Yeah. Okay. But should we talk about relevant things in life like the Sweeney situation?
Let's hear the update.
Sweeney's
from you.
situation's
well, hang
amazing.
on. For those who didn't
Yeah.
have the benefit of hearing it either last night on the show
Yes.
or on the podcast,
Yes.
what we can say is that you drove past what you thought was an incident, a crime scene of
Two
some kind
two
or
men
other.
leap off the pavement in front
Yeah.
of my car, caught in the headlights,
Yeah.
and they're waving their arms all over the
One
place.
of them just wearing a white T-shirt.
White T-shirt, and they dash off from left to right, and they disappear down a path and into a block of flats, right? And I thought that was, unusual. I
Yeah.
mean, it could have been that they'd suddenly realised that they were late home for the 11 o'clock news or something like that. I don't know, but they look panic-stricken to me.
Yeah, because you do often run home to see the news, don't you? It's the sort of thing that happens all the time.
Sorry, is this another mocking
I'm
comment?
not mocking you. No, I'm just trying to get to the facts.
I actually do. I do run home to get the news because I like to keep in touch with what's going on in the world.
Right. Well, where would you be to have to run home to get to the news?
Well, I might have just got off the train or something like that.
Oh, right,
and
okay.
it's 3 minutes to 11. It takes 5 minutes to get to my apartment in normal 4 miles
Well,
an
you
hour
wouldn't be very
walking
happy
time.
if some maniac
Walking
then did a
time.
U-turn as you ran past him and suddenly stopped and said, I'm going to call the police because you look like a suspicious character.
Well, hang on. Let me tell the audience what happened. I'm being a decent citizen here. So anyway, I continued going up this road. I went left and then I went, another half a mile. And all of a sudden, coming the other way, police car, wah, 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 and
It's an
flashing
old
lights.
police car, was it?
No.
From the 60s. Sorry. Do carry on.
I mean, honestly,
Well, they don't sound like that anymore, do they?
they sound like that sort of thing.
Like a dog.
Yeah, a bit like a dog, yeah. Anyway, it goes shooting past,
Yeah.
and of course, immediately, my 35 years of being a trained observer, my instincts, my aerials are up.
Yeah.
The aerials that you have on the edge of your ears as a reporter. And I went another 120 yards, or 100 to 200 yards, I meant to say. And all of a sudden, another police car, literally, really manic going for it. And I thought, I know where they're going. Something's happened in that street where those two men nearly...
And you may have seen the perps, as we used to call them.
The
perps.
perpetrators.
Yeah, the perps.
Right, OK, yeah, well, certainly the suspects. Anyway, so I did a U-turn, didn't I? And thought, I'm going to go back to the scene of the crime. And I happened to say to you, which you've been mocking about ever since, I felt a bit like, Jack Reagan and the Sweeney.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm the Sweeney, get
Quite
your
a few
trousers
people
on.
have tweeted you looking like Jack Reagan.
I felt like saying to my driver, although I didn't have a driver, come on, let's get round back there or something like that, or step on it. What was the name of the driver? Bill. Bill was the name of the driver of the Sweeney. Yeah, it was definitely Bill. Step on it, Bill, let's get there. Anyway, I go back to the scene of the crime.
Did you actually say that? I bet you actually said that, didn't you?
I was
you pretended there was somebody else in the car.
I was getting into character, I have to admit.
Right.
So I go back, and sadly, to my disappointment, there's nothing going on in the street that I thought the crime had occurred in. So
and no sign of the police cars.
No sign of the police cars. But I could hear the sirens. I could hear the sirens. I thought, it must be, I've got the right street. I definitely have. It must be in the next street or something. Anyway, so I then turned around, came into work last night and told you about it, and tried to be a decent
what's the
citizen.
latest development then?
Well, latest development is I come on the same route most nights,
Right.
OK? So I come on the road, which is basically where Surrey ends and Greater London begins. Goes from being rural to sort of urban. Long street, go down it, hill up at the end to the junction. And as I do so, I'm aware of a lot of flashing lights. I'm also aware of a lot of vehicles. I'm also aware of a lot of people in dark uniforms, and it is the police. And there were at least 8 police cars there tonight, at the very point where I saw... At this very same spot.
Spooky. Very spooky.
And also one van which says major incident units, HQ or something like that.
Crime scene specialist or something like that.
Crime scene vehicle or something like that. So... And I drove through them very slowly, and I looked at the policemen, and they were looking at me, and I couldn't really work out what was going on. But it's obvious that whatever happened last night happened there, and that on their initial response, they'd gone to the wrong street. Which, I mean, you can, I'm not knocking the police for that. You can accept they'd heard something going on, somebody had panicked, made a phone call or something like that, and they were trying to find the source of it. But it means now I could be a key witness to a major crime.
You could be, yeah.
In which case...
Have you been in touch with the police then?
Well, I didn't know, did I, till I was coming to work tonight, that actually something did happen, and that, therefore, I should, I suppose, volunteer myself to the authorities tomorrow to let them know what I know. I may hold key evidence.
You may do, yeah. But all you can really tell them is about the 2 guys that you saw running, right?
Well, that's right. And then what worries me a little bit, Mike, is that because I have a low-profile public persona... Will I then have to be put into a witness protection scheme? What are you laughing at?
I don't think so. I don't think it's going to come to that.
What do you mean? I might be a crucial witness.
Well, all you can tell these guys,
Yeah.
the police, is that you saw 2 figures
Yeah.
in the dark.
Yes.
One of whom was wearing a white T-shirt. That was all you could
That's
describe.
who nearly collided with my car.
Right.
And ran off in the direction of the right.
But that's
to
it,
the right.
isn't it?
Well, that is about it, yeah.
They weren't carrying any weapons.
No, but supposing...
They weren't carrying a bag.
No, not to my knowledge. But supposing they left DNA on my car.
Well, they didn't touch your car.
Well, that doesn't matter. DNA can be the tiniest little thing. So if they ran past and, for instance, a strand of their hair had come off and floated onto my bonnet or something like that.
So they could actually impound your car and start
Well, this is what I'm
worrying
about. I mean, sometimes it's better not to volunteer, isn't it? Sometimes it is.
Absolutely not.
No,
you should
sometimes
always
it is.
try and help the police.
Well, I will always help the police. I always have done throughout my life. I've always tried to help the police. But, you do have to think about the things very hard.
They might regard you as a bit of a nuisance as well, I suppose.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know how much I can possibly contribute. If I'd have got back to the scene last night, then maybe my evidence would have been invaluable, because I would have said, well, they went in that direction. You see what I mean? But it's clear from what I saw tonight. I mean, there's a police camp there. It was a major incident.
It could be a completely different incident, of course, couldn't it?
Well, it's very coincidental if it is. It was exactly the same spot where these guys ran across the road, and I narrowly missed them. And it wasn't a normal run. It wasn't a normal run, Mike. I know a run when I see one. Right. And these guys were sprinting for their lives. It was. But I'm going to try and find out. In fact, I'm going to ask one of our researchers to get onto the Metropolitan Police website to see if there's an appeal for witnesses to a major incident in that part of the world. That's a good idea, isn't it?
That is a good idea.
I'm going to do that right now.
And then we can move on from that
Indeed,
particular
we
fantasy.
can.
Thank you very much indeed. Mike Porky Parry, of course, is going to be quizzed later on one of his favourite subjects, the battles of World War II. We've got much, much more to talk about coming up next on Talks with Mr. Parry in a little while. A couple of tweets to read out to you. John says, maybe those two guys who Porky saw running last night could have been running to sign for Everton, as they need a bit of pace up front. Scott says, go easy on Porky. I too don't know how to shave properly. Beard trimmers are complicated devices.
They certainly are.
And Kevin says,
I've ruined her face.
Well, you have. I'm just about to
face.
send a picture out of you. Tell Parry it's called an electric shaver. They've been around for about 100 years.
This is not. Here, listen to this.
It's a trimmer, isn't it?
That's a trimmer,
It
right?
is a trimmer.
That's the noise of a trimmer. Now, how do I know this? Because actually I brought it in. The reason I brought it in
Quite
was...
expensive, those, aren't they?
Yeah, they are, I think, yeah. If I was going to get any more stick from you, I was just going to go into one of our executive bathrooms and shave it all off altogether.
Really?
Yeah, because it does look a mess, I agree.
I don't mind it, actually. I think it definitely is an improvement on the kind of the straggly, beardy kind of thing that was going on.
I just worry about my admirers thinking that I look like a bagman, because I do look like a bit of a down and out with this.
Well, we can actually no, because it's more difficult, surely, to keep it trimmed. It shows that you're actually, somebody who cares about their look.
But I tell you what, it was a stressful day anyway. I was doing that with a shaking hand because this morning I went and sorted out a new will.
Did you?
Yeah.
Why? Something you want to tell us?
Well...
As we had some information from the doctor?
Well, as you know, only a third of my heart works.
I have heard that, yes. You have mentioned that in the past.
I have to be aware of, the instantaneous... taking away of life, if you see what I mean.
Yes,
it can
indeed.
happen. It can happen.
Well, I mean, people have often questioned me. In fact, I had a conversation only yesterday morning with some of the guys from the breakfast show about how your health was and how you managed to survive.
Why would they want to ask you that?
Well, because they were concerned about how you were doing, because they hadn't seen you for a while.
Yeah, as long as it is concern,
Well, yeah, they were just asking how it's possible that you managed to live this very, very full life, considering that only a third of your heart actually works.
Well,
and how you don't appear to be taking all that many sort of precautions about your health.
Well, you've got to be prepared anyway, because you know that a lot of people die intestate. You know what that means?
Intestate without a will.
Without a will. And that causes absolute problems, you know. If you have wealth and if you have property and all this kind of stuff, it can be a nightmare. So what I have to do is I have to give all the details of my life over to my lawyer so that if it happens, then, and
but God forbid it won't. You've already got a will anyway.
Well,
I have just updating it.
I update it about every 6 months. Circumstances change. Because circumstances change and all that kind of stuff. But
do you change the beneficiaries?
Yes, I do.
Do you?
I do.
Well, every 6 months?
Not every 6 months, but certainly over the last 5 years, I've rubbed about 4 people off the will altogether.
Have you?
Rubbed them out.
What,
completely.
members of the family?
Not members of the family, no. It'll all go eventually to my immediate family. But there were other people who I've been trying to help in life who've, thrown custard pies at my face since then and who have been rubbed out.
Have you let them know that they've been taken out of the largesse?
No, but I didn't let them know they were in the first place. You see what I mean?
Oh, okay.
So it didn't make any difference. But somebody who's going to get 25 grand ain't going to get it now.
Right.
And somebody else who's going to get 10 grand ain't going to get it. But, things like, what do I do with my Wayne Rooney England shirt when I die? You don't want somebody walking into the place and thinking, we'll put that in the junk box or something like that.
do you not just leave your executor in charge of giving stuff away?
No. Can't do that. No.
Why not?
I've got too much valuable stuff. Who would get my Rolex watch?
Well, wouldn't you just leave whoever is, your most important relative to sort all that out?
No, because that's a burden. That's too much of a burden. And you know what happens then? Families literally fall apart. Because supposing the Rolex watch was there, and one of my sisters said, "Oh, I want that for my son." That's my nephew.
Right.
And the other one said, "Well, I want it for my husband, who's my brother-in-law." I mean, what do you do?
Yeah, I suppose
you see what I mean.
It's worth a lot of money, isn't it?
It's worth a lot of money. You've got to make decisions. But guess...
Is this the one you got for the freebie you got from the gentleman in the Middle East?
No. That's a different watch altogether.
Oh, okay.
That wasn't a Rolex.
Right.
No, my Rolex is something that I bought as a present to myself when I felt I'd made it in life. You see what I mean?
It was not one of those fake ones you got in New York.
No, it's not one of those fake ones I got in New York. It's a proper one.
But you don't ever wear it though. You're wearing that kind of horrible sort of rubber watch.
Yeah, well, do you know why? It's got a heart monitor thing on it.
Has it?
So you can find out how many paces you should be taking to walk and all that kind of stuff.
Does it do how many heartbeats a minute and all that?
It could do if I knew how to work it. But, I mean, it's basically, it's just tells you how far you've walked and all that kind of stuff. It's a really good one. But I wore my Everton watch, didn't I, on Saturday, which is my big blue
stopped,
watch.
In fact, at one point or other, when we were sitting just before the game, and you said, I don't know if this is a bad omen, but the Everton watch stopped. Have you managed to get it going again?
I haven't worked on that yet, but the housekeeper's going to take it and get a battery.
It's just one thing after another with you.
Yeah, it's no problem.
Nightmare.
But listen, what I want to tell you about the wills is absolutely fascinating. This is the first time I've been told about this in all the times I've been to see him about it. Right, because of the modern age, and we have laptops, we have Facebook accounts, Twitter accounts,
Instagram.
Yeah. You're on Netflix, aren't you?
I'm on Netflix.
You might have a contract with them to download films and all that. Unless you leave all the passwords now and all the numbers and all that, you're locked into these for not just for life, but for years after your death.
Oh, what, somebody has to keep paying up
Absolutely.
For it? Right.
Or they come out of your estate. And that's why, you see what I mean? Because your bank accounts keep going on and all that kind of stuff. And unless you close them all down, you could literally lose all your wealth to people who will then just raid your...
Actually, I bet you the mobile phone companies are at it with that
exactly,
as well, because you get, say, a 2-year contract and you can't get out of it.
Absolutely right. This is exactly what I'm saying. It's exactly what I'm saying. So I was warned today that you've got to go through all these contracts you've got in the electronic communications world and all that kind of stuff. You're absolutely right, Mike, because... even if it was my sisters who would look after the estate after I died and that kind of stuff, they wouldn't think of getting the mobile phone. They'd just let the battery run down, it would run down and that would be it. Right. But then that phone has got to be paid for forever, really.
I know, but surely if you were able to call these people up and say, look,
well, you can't call them up when you're dead, can you?
Well, no, you can't call them up, but, whoever's in charge of your estate could call them up and say, look, I'm terribly sorry, but Mike Parry's dead now.
Yeah.
He can't pay for his phone.
But listen to this, for instance. There'll be all sorts of rows when you die. And I was given a leaflet on this, and it says, many people do not realise that they do not own the music on their iPods. The music is purchased through iTunes. Some assets, such as the contents of an iTunes account or e-books held on Kindle, cannot be legally passed on, as the user only buys the rights to use the file during their lifetime.
How bizarre.
Exactly.
No, see, I must know. I'd never thought of that at all.
So what I'm saying is, when you die, the ownership of these reverts back to the person you thought you'd bought them from.
Right.
Isn't that amazing?
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Remarkable.
So I've made
have you had to hand over all your passwords then? And did you even know what they were?
Well, I'm in the process of having to do that now,
right.
which again is a nightmare. It says the process is made even more difficult because there's no standard procedure across the internet for what happens when an account user dies. The industry has not made any provisions for death of the people that they're serving, which runs into billions, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people. So what it says is, we recommend you keep a detailed record of your online life and specifying in your will what should happen to each account. But we do not advise leaving details of passwords in the will because it becomes part of the public record when it goes to probate and anybody can then access your accounts.
So what do? Do you put it in a sealed envelope and give it to the lawyer then?
I don't know.
Very complicated, that, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But you see what I mean? See what I found out there? I mean, this is a major step forward in helping our listeners, our millions of listeners, to organise their lives.
Yes, it is.
We're not just here to entertain, although we love to entertain. We're here to inform. Is that right, Mike?
And actually, we've got Chris on from Kent who wants to tell us something about this as well.
Right,
because he might be able to elaborate even further on it. Chris, a very good morning to you. Hello, Chris.
Hiya, Chris.
Are you there?
Hi. Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Chris. Yeah, go on, tell us of your experience.
My father died quite a few months ago, and he had a prescription for a satellite TV. And cancelled it on his behalf. Like you say, I didn't have passwords or anything like that. All I had was his obviously name and address. But within a few weeks later, he still got a letter through the door saying that you haven't been paying your prescription, and basically they sent a fine as well.
Yeah.
A fine, what, from the satellite TV company?
That obviously my father hasn't been paying because he's passed on.
Yeah, I know. It's a terrible thing, Chris.
Well, what did they say when you said that?
Well, so you should have told us. Well, I did.
Yeah.
So after, and in the end, it was very. It took about 2 months to sort out, and in the end, they apologised and they gave me some vouchers for my troubles.
I see. Yeah, at least they did it the decent way. Yeah.
But also,
yeah.
I mean, if you are in a kind of bereaved situation as well,
yeah.
Which your relatives may not be because you've lived a pretty healthy life, and they probably wouldn't be too sorry to see
they knew
you go.
It was going to happen.
To be honest,
sure.
But if you are in a sort of bereaved state, then that can't be very nice to have to fight with all these people and say, "Well, we're not going to give you any more money."
No, but the thing is, Mike, whilst there's still money in your account, and by the way, the other thing is. And I'm going through the process of this now. I don't know how many bank accounts I've got.
Don't you?
So, no, I don't. I have no idea. And so when
to the nearest 10?
I've got about 15.
15 bank accounts.
Yeah, about 15.
Why?
Well, I just have, because for various elements of my life and things that are paid for, people who pay me.
You're not some kind of money laundering operation.
No, not money laundering operation at all. I mean, for instance, if I...
You've seen the time, by the way.
Yeah, no, hang on a sec. A few years ago, I bought a bond in the Cheltenham and Gloucester Building Society, right?
Uh-huh.
Now, that was a mature bond that matures 5 years later or something like that. I'd forgotten all about it. One of the reasons I forgot about it is the Cheltenham Gloucester Building Society doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, dear.
It's been merged with somebody else. Now, the thing is, I don't even know how to trace that. So when I die, what hope have my family have got of tracing it? You see what I mean?
How much is in that, then?
Initially, there was £12,000.
Blimey.
And they had an agreed interest rate over 5 years and all that kind of stuff. You know
Sounds
what I mean?
very chaotic.
And I was reminded about that, and I've got to now find out who now owns it. You know what I mean? Well, I own it, but I don't know where it is.
Shocking.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
We are the Two Mikes. Of course, the podcast will be out a little bit later on this morning. We are the Two Mikes. He's Mike Parry. I'm Mike Graham. Got quite a few tweets to read out to you. Sean, having seen that picture, says, "Crikey, now we know what that beard was hiding. Hashtag triple chin," which is probably a little bit harsh.
That is very harsh. Very harsh.
Here's one from Chris in Crewe. Says, "Mr. Parry, the Cheltenham and Gloucester became part of Lloyd's TSB, mate. Start your account search there."
Right,
so
thank you.
A bit of help there.
Thank you. That's very honestly, that's very helpful.
And
Thank
Andy
you.
in Falkirk has texted into 81089. He says, 12 grand in an account somewhere in the ether. I think I'll put myself forward to be the first Mrs. Parry. I have to say, without wishing to be in any way mercenary about this or in any way kind of, shall we say, distasteful about your will, which obviously is a very important document. I'm wondering really whether there's anything you wish to reveal about my inclusion in it at any point.
You're not included, Mike.
I'm not included.
You're not included.
So you've never seen fit to put me into it at any time?
No, and I'll tell you why.
Why
because,
is that?
Well, for two reasons. Firstly, I don't believe it's good for the psyche of anybody to receive money they haven't earned. Okay? I think it.
Well, what about all these other people you're going to give it to?
Well, they're mostly close family members. I mean, the thing is, you've got to understand that great family dynasties are built up by the amalgamation of the wealth of a number of members of the family.
And how would you know about that?
Because I'm building one. I'm building the family dynasty.
Right, okay.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Well, who's going to take over from you, then?
Well, I suppose...
Wouldn't you have thought that the best thing to do to build a dynasty would be to get married and have kids?
Well, but you'd be mad to say, I think I'll get married and have kids because I want to build a dynasty.
Right.
You'd actually have to find a woman you love first and who wanted to marry you and then get married.
Would you not also be mad to say, I'm going to build a dynasty, but I haven't got any children?
Well, I have to say...
It's not much of a dynasty, is it? Well, it finishes when you die.
I have to say that there is a bit of a flaw in my dynasty plan. That is that I haven't got any relatives to survive me. But, I mean, it doesn't matter. I'll pass it on to somebody else.
Right.
But, no, you wouldn't want money that you hadn't earned. And the other thing is...
Well, you might say I have earned it because I've had to put up with you for so many years.
Well, I'm not going to respond to that rather aggressive and mocking question. And the other thing is, of course, I'm not at the end of my life yet, Mike.
No.
And by the time I get to the end of my life, I might be so sick and fed up of your fat face invading my, my daily routine that I might have, by then, literally have squashed a blancmange in your face and told you to go and take a running jump.
It's possible.
Yeah.
Anything is possible.
You say it to me.
Yeah.
Listen, I've come across something else today, right? Come across something else. Thinking of changing the car later in the year. Okay?
Oh, are you?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Well, you have it leased, right, anyway? So
Yes,
it's a 3-year
absolutely,
lease.
absolutely. Yeah,
Can
yeah.
you change it in the middle of a 3-year lease?
Anytime you want.
Okay.
You upgrade it and everything you want. It's not a problem at all, okay?
What are you going to change it into?
Well, I haven't made that mind up yet, but I've found out about a facility that could be available in this country within 5 years.
Okay.
It's a car that fills itself full of petrol. You don't have to do anything at all.
How does it do that, then?
It's amazing. Volvo apparently are pioneering this because I heard this from a Volvo salesman. And what happens is your car will have a microchip in it.
Right.
And when your petrol gets down to 10% of what's in the fuel tank, it sends a message to your fuel supplier. And all over Britain, there will be tankers driving around, right, literally driving around, which will then receive a message to come to your street and fill your car full of petrol.
From a tanker?
From a tanker.
That's a ludicrous idea.
No, as it's parked in the driveway.
That's a ridiculous idea.
No, it's not.
So what, there's going to be all these tankers roaming up and down the small little town country roads of Britain?
No, they won't be as big as the fuel tankers we see going up and down motorways, filling petrol stations of thousands of gallons but they will be the size, for instance, of a milk float. They'll be the size of a milk float.
That
okay?
sounds like the biggest waste of money and time and energy as well, and also damaging to the environment, surely.
No, this is what's going to happen in the future. What's going to happen in the future is you park your car outside your house and they just come along in the middle of the night and they fill your car up for you.
Yeah.
And they will have...
So does it only carry enough petrol for one car?
No, it carries enough petrol for about 20 cars or 30 cars from a local depot, you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it goes and visits all the cars and it fills them all up in the middle of the night, and when you get out of bed in the morning, go and get your car, it's full of petrol.
How do they fill your car up if the petrol cap's locked?
It's not. This is the whole thing. There is a combination which only they have, your fuel suppliers, in which they can access your fuel tank by, clicking the flap open. No,
why don't
it's
you
true.
just go to the petrol station when the light comes on, like everybody else?
Because because it's time consuming, it's messy. You get your hands onto the petrol pump, it's full of diesel. You've got to then get your wet ones out of your glove box and wash your hands like this.
No, I'm not going for this one. I don't think this is a step forward. It's a step backward.
No, it's even better. It's even better. Not only will your car be filled up in the middle of the night by an anonymous fuel supplier.
Yeah.
It's a company obviously you have a deal with, but you never see the guy. It'd be like Father Christmas. It'd be like Father Christmas bringing your petrol in the middle of the night.
What if you have to park your car just in an ordinary street? The guy's going to block the street. He's going to fill your car up.
No, he's not. At 3 o'clock in the morning, there's no traffic around.
No, there is.
He comes and fills your car. No, you don't understand. You park it somewhere that's accessible to the mini tanker that comes along. But this is not the end of it. This is not the end of it.
Go on.
At the moment, there's all this stuff on Amazon which gets delivered to your house.
What, you mean things that you buy online?
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
It's not that mysterious.
No, well, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
In future, on the same basis, they will deliver it to your car, not to your house.
What, put it in the back of the car?
Put it in the back of the car for you.
Good news for burglars.
No. Wherever your car is. So, for instance, if we had our car parked round at the back in the TalkSport Towers car park, right?
Right. They wouldn't be able to get in there, would they?
Yes, they would, because the guy at the front would open the gates and allow them in. They'd go in.
A tanker wouldn't be able to get through there. It's
No,
too small.
I'm not talking about a tanker now. I'm talking about delivering parcels.
Oh, yeah.
They deliver the parcel to your car, not to your house anymore, to your car. As an extension of
Doesn't
of
sound
what
very
you are.
secure, does
No,
it?
honestly, it's going to happen. It is going to happen. Believe me, I've seen it all explained to me, and that is exactly what's going to happen.
They were going to start delivering things by drone. That was going to be what they were probably going to do next.
I think they're having problems with drones. There's going to be massive legislation about drones in the very near future, in my opinion, talking to my naval intelligence guys down in Portsmouth, because of the danger of it being misused to transport, toxic substances, for instance. You know what I mean?
Weaponry, that kind of thing.
And all that kind of stuff.
I don't like the sound of this tanker business.
But believe me, it's going to happen. And the other thing I should tell you, by the way, talking to this car expert today, I was roundly mocked a few years ago when I said to people, when it's snowing, don't be averse to driving your car backwards rather than forwards, because you get a better grip on the back axle than you do on the front axle.
Doesn't that depend on whether you've got a front wheel or a rear wheel drive?
Very few cars are front wheel drive. Very few cars.
Well, I don't have to worry about these things because both my cars are four wheel drive.
Yeah, exactly. 4-wheel drive is fine. But
I'll just be driving frontwards, thanks.
Yeah, that's fine. But for ordinary cars that only have propulsion from the back axle, don't be averse to driving your car backwards in situations, for instance, if you're going up a hill. You see what I mean?
Well, you can't drive backwards up a hill.
Of course you can.
It's probably illegal, isn't it?
No. And you get a much better grip on your road. So, for instance, what I'm saying is, you drive down a main road, okay.
So which side of the road do you drive backwards on?
the same side of the road that you drive forwards on.
So you would drive as if you were going forwards, except the car would be round the wrong way. Don't you think that would confuse people?
No, not at all. Why should it?
Well, because you'd be firing your headlights right into the guy behind you.
No, you wouldn't. You could switch your headlights to dim, and remember, you'd have lights on the back, which are your reversing
That's
lights.
right.
So they'd be like your headlights. Okay?
But they wouldn't be showing you how far you can see, or they wouldn't be very good at all for you driving a long way.
No. I mean, you're not necessarily always in darkness. What I'm saying is, you're driving along the main road, right? And the main road...
Backwards.
No, forwards. And the main road is clear because there's a lot of traffic on it. Then you come to a side road, maybe you live in the side road, you want to turn into there, but your house is literally 3/4 of the way along the side road, but it's on a slope going upwards, right?
And it's icy.
And it's icy, thank you. You've got the plot now, it's icy. So instead of turning into the road forwards like you would normally, with the danger that the car might slip going up the hill, what you do is you drive past the road, then you reverse into it, and then you simply...
Isn't it illegal to reverse into a road, though?
No, not at all.
Are you sure about that?
Absolutely certain.
Okay.
Absolutely certain.
I thought it might be against one rule or other in the highway code.
No, it's not at all. And you then reverse into the road, and then anybody who's got, 50% intelligence should be able, by looking at their wing mirrors, to direct the car backwards quite as simply as you direct your car forwards.
It's quite difficult to drive backwards a long way, though. And a lot of people
No, it's not.
And you'd end up hitting all the parked cars, wouldn't you?
No, you wouldn't. What would you do that for?
Well, because some people aren't able to... You can't drive backwards at the same speed as you can
get
drive
some
forwards.
more driving lessons. It's perfectly easy. I know how to do it. I used to drive a Corona pop wagon, and we used to have to back into little country roads and all that. I became a master of the wing mirror driving.
A Corona pop wagon?
Yeah.
Well, like a milk float type thing, you mean?
Yeah, he used to sell pop. He used to sell dandelion and burdock, lemonade and cherry aid. Eh?
You sold it?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Just off the back of a lorry, literally?
Yes, that's right, absolutely. It's called Corona Pop. You never heard of Corona Pop?
Well, I heard of Corona,
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Anyway, getting back to the driving the car backwards, the grip on the back axle is 10 times better than the grip on the front wheels going up that hill in snow. And that's why... And
I think the best advice you can give people is to
motoring experts will back up what I've said.
Leave the car at the bottom of the hill and walk up. I think that's what you should do.
Because then if it snows again, if it snows more, the snow comes down on the car gets buried in snow, it becomes a liability, people crash into it, and you've caused a major hazard.
Sounds like you're
so
a bit
don't
of a
even talk
liability
about
on this.
that.
Because one of the other things that we're hearing on news, Ben's news this morning, is that apparently people are not buying anything like as much petrol as people expected them to when the price has gone down because they're not using their cars as much. I don't believe that. When I drive down to Sussex now, there's far more cars on the road than there ever used to be 6 or 7 months ago.
It's a double-edged sword. Because petrol is cheaper, there are more cars on the road because people are taking them out more.
That's
right?
what I think.
That is a fact, right?
Well, the news says differently.
No. What he's saying is the way the equation goes, it's a parabola equation. Parabola equation,
is it?
Yeah, it goes like this to this point where there's more cars on the road. Then because there's more cars on the road, other people say, right, that's it, I'm not going in my car, the roads have got too crowded, the parabola comes down the other side, you see what I mean?
Yeah.
The sink of the parabola, we call it.
I see. Well, thank you for explaining that.
Yeah.
Anyway, the time is...
I hope all that makes sense to you.
It does. None of it, I think, is a good idea. Do not drive backwards up a hill and don't get involved in this nonsense about getting your petrol delivered to your car.
You will get it delivered to your car, believe me.
Absolute
Mike,
madness.
I can see the future in a way you can't.
I know you can.
I've got an expansive mind.
I know you can. That's what worries me. This is Talk Sport. We are the two Mikes. Don't forget, it's quiz night, of course. That'll be coming up in the next hour. When someone's braking in front of you, if you're driving backwards. I think we finally flummoxed you.
No, you see it in your rearview mirror, don't you?
You see somebody braking.
Of course you do. Of course you would. You've got to keep your eye on your rearview mirror, haven't you?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, exactly. If you're going backwards and you see it in your side...
How fast have you driven backwards in a car?
20 miles an hour?
20?
I would say so.
That's quick.
Yeah, I would say so,
So if you drove at 20 miles an hour up a road,
Yeah.
which was quite a narrow road with parked cars on it, I reckon you'd probably clip a few mirrors.
Well, I wouldn't, you see, because I'm an expert at driving backwards You're
an expert at driving backwards?
And navigating by wing mirrors. Yeah, I am, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I am, yeah.
That
definitely.
I would like to see. We might have to give you a test.
No, yeah, OK, I don't mind.
Once the weather gets a bit better.
I don't mind. I'm a pretty expert driver to all intents and purposes. But listen, the name thing...
Of course you're an expert driver.
The name thing there. Now, this is... you and I were having a conversation earlier.
Yeah.
Old Ed Balls couldn't remember the name of Labour's major sponsor.
Yeah. Well,
Bill.
you thought Cyndi Lauper's name was Tony.
Well,
I think
there is another singing lady called Tony.
I think you think of Tony Basil, aren't you?
Tony Basil, that's the one, yeah.
Hey, Mickey, and all that.
Hey, Mickey, you're so fine, you're so fine. No, Mickey, you're so fine.
I saw this Ed Balls thing. This is where he was asked about, some major donor to the Labour Party.
Yes.
And all he could remember was his first name, Bill.
Yeah.
But that happens to you all the time, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. I mean, mostly speaking, almost everybody I know who I haven't seen for like 3 days is called mate.
Right.
They have to be.
Yeah.
Because
once you've known them for a while, you can't ask them what their name is, can
No,
you?
of course you can't. So, for instance, when you and I went to Palace for the weekend, every time we met somebody who I sort of vaguely knew,
Right.
it was, hello, mate, how are you? This is Mike Graham,
But then it's very difficult when you're introducing people because you can't say, this is Mike Graham, and then this is so-and-so, right?
No, I never do that.
Yeah.
I never do that. I just say, introduce yourself, and then turn away as though I've got something better to do.
Or
you
if
know
it's
what I
somebody
mean?
really important, what you tend to do is not bother introducing me at all, and you just go off and talk to them on your own. That's the other thing.
I don't do that. No, I'm very inclusive, Mike. When we're out, we're inclusive.
Well,
we
that
are the
depends
two
on,
Mikes. Don't worry about
but
that.
that depends on who you're with, though, doesn't it?
Well, I suppose it does, yeah. But no, I mean, you can remember the names of do you know what? Yeah, I'll tell you a great story.
Yeah.
I once forgot the name of David Cameron.
Did you?
In this very studio.
Right.
So what?
When he was sitting here?
I was sitting where you are now.
Yeah, but was he in the studio?
Yeah, he was in the studio, yeah. So he was leader of the opposition then. He wasn't Prime Minister, but obviously, the sort of election campaign was already underway.
Yeah.
And he came in and he was carrying one of our mugs, which said TalkSport on it.
Right.
And it was so bizarre because, of course, he's, he comes from a privileged background. He's an old Etonian, went to Oxford University and got a first-class degree. Yeah. And he's never really shown any great aptitude for sport, or interest in it. Came in with this order, and I said, Mr. Cameron, it's very...
Claims to be an Aston Villa fan, doesn't he?
Apparently. Very good of you to come and join us today. I've always got time for Talk Sport, he said. So he sat down. Right. So, anyway, I started talking to him, and then, I was interviewing him. It was a current affairs programme rather than a sports programme. And then, for some unknown reason, I went into this sort of catatonic sort of, sort of... what do you call
happen, though.
Yeah, this sort of catatonic... What's it called I'm looking
trance.
for? Trance. That's this sort of trance. And I was looking at David Cameron, who now, of course, is our Prime Minister, and I was literally thinking... What's this guy doing in the studio, and what am I talking to him about?
Well, you were having a turn, in other words.
Well, whatever. I just got bored, I suppose.
And of course, if he had been Prime Minister, that would have been no problem. You'd just called him Prime Minister.
Exactly, yeah.
That should be all right.
But there's no, leader, like leader of the opposition, you can't call him leader, can you? So it came to a moment when I had to get his name. Fortunately, somebody behind the glass had seen I was struggling. And
gave it to you in your ear.
But it took me a few minutes to say, and they could see I was struggling, But I literally...
No, but I think that particularly...
I forgot who he was, what he was, why he was here, and ever since then, whenever I interview anybody now, Mike, anybody, doesn't matter who it is, I always write it on a piece of paper and I stick it on the screen in front of me. Because you can forget somebody's name in an instant, and it's embarrassing.
But I think that's also part of the kind of the job that we do. Because, I generally write names down as well, because you can sometimes... I've had situations where I go to introduce the newsreader and I've suddenly forgotten who it is.
Yeah, well, I do that all the time.
Not because you don't know the name, but it just goes out of your head.
Well, it took me about 3 months to remember that Ben was Ben.
Right.
Because, I kept calling him Tom and also, I don't know, because...
But also, you're quite kind of dismissive of other people as well, so you don't tend to remember people's names. No, you do, because I can give you some evidence of this.
Oh, go on, then.
Because our executive producer, Dave Levine,
right.
When you first started working back here on the overnight show, he said to me, it's great that Mike now knows my name, because when he came to start working here, once again, he'd completely forgotten that I worked with him on the weekend sports breakfast all those years ago for 2 years.
I don't think.
And you never knew his name because you never used to talk to him. Because you thought that he was too sort of much of an underling for you to care about.
I think you're winding me up here,
No,
mate.
I'm not.
No.
I'm not.
This is a terrible story.
He thought it was a major kind of move forward.
I do, honestly. I forget people's names instantly, and that's why everybody is mate if they're male, right? Hello, pal, mate, how are you, and all that kind of stuff. And if they're female... I call them my love. Hello, my love. How are you? Which I think is quite nice.
It's very sexist, that.
It's not sexist.
If I was a woman, I would not want you to call me my love.
Why not?
Because it's sexist.
I think it's nice. I think it's friendly.
Well, you may think it's nice.
Well, what do you call a woman if you've forgotten a name?
Well, you
Pal,
don't.
Mate, you can't.
Well,
can
you can't do that. No.
So what do you call them?
No, I'm not sure. It's never happened to me.
What do you call a woman if you can't remember her name? Do you say? Well, what about my dear? I sometimes say, hello, my dear. How are you?
No, it's also sexist.
I don't think it's sexist. I think it's almost affectionate. If you see what I mean.
Friend of mine's wife actually still doesn't like me because I forgot her name before she married this guy. He was a journalist colleague of ours. I'm not going to give his name away, obviously. Yeah. But we were at some kind of party, something leaving do or something. It was in EV2s actually, just on the other side of Blackfriars Bridge. Yeah. And somebody else was there, and I went.
No, EV2s is around the corner here.
Hey.
EV2s is around the corner.
It's on the other side of Blackfriars Bridge.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not.
It's always been there.
It's not. EV2 is round here, under the arches.
LV knows.
Oh, no, I didn't. No, but there's an EV2 round here. There's a bar called
It's got
EV2.
nothing to do with Elvino.
Well, you didn't say Elvinos.
EV2s, it's called.
I know Elvinos, and I've known it well
Yeah,
for
they know
years
you
and
as
years.
well.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's true.
why are you bothering to nitpick about the sort of scenario?
They serve wine in there in half-pint glasses.
Yeah, I know, some wine bar.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, big measures. Anyway, go on, yeah.
Oh, well, thanks for ruining the story.
No,
I'm just trying to
tell
the story.
me.
Anyway, so we're standing there, we've got a glass of wine, and I introduced this guy. His first name was Chris. I said, this is Chris, and this is his girlfriend. And her name just completely went out of my head.
Yeah.
And because of the fact that she could tell that I was struggling, she just looked at me straight in the eye and went, it's, and then she told the name.
Right.
I don't want to give the name because it will give away who it was.
Yes.
And ever since then, she has not really ever liked me.
Well, it's not
because I
nice, is it,
forgot
when
her
you can't
name.
remember somebody's name?
And I knew exactly who she was,
Yeah.
and we'd been out for drinks, we'd been out for dinner, and amazingly, she just really didn't like me from that point on.
Well, the point is, there are compartments in your brain which do different things.
Yeah.
I mean, so for instance, at the moment, I'm using my broadcasting compartment. You see
Some
what
of
I
the
mean?
compartments in your brain
Yeah.
have shut down, haven't they?
Well, maybe they have, and
Yeah.
maybe the one to remember names has. Maybe that's not as efficient as the other
Ed
compartments.
Ball says it's an age
Yeah.
thing, and I think it is. The older you get, the more forgetful you become.
That's rubbish. If he's saying that he's suffering from dementia at a
That's
young
not what he
age.
said.
It's an age thing means my
says it's
memory's
an age
going, and
thing.
if your memory's going, it could be the onset of dementia. So I think that's a very unfortunate thing for him to have said. I really do. The point is, if I'm using the compartment in my brain which allows me to drive cars backwards efficiently, that works. That's great. Not every bit of your brain can work, and the bit of my brain which I do struggle with, I have to say, are names. I don't struggle with dates or places or times
You
or
do.
things I've got to do. No,
Absolutely
I don't.
you do.
No, I don't.
Every
no, I
single
don't.
time I give you a quiz on anything, you get the dates wrong, and then you moan about the fact that it was quite close and you should have been given the answer anyway.
No, that's not true. That's not true. We're not going to get into what the tricks you play in the quiz. But what I'm saying is the name thing, I think people should be a little bit more understanding about, because there's so much information you have in your head these days. I mean, for instance, can you remember the number of your bank account?
Yes.
I can, of the one that
I've
I
only got the
mostly
one,
use.
though. I haven't got 15 bank accounts.
Well, I mean, that I don't have that many bank accounts. They are had for me, if you see what I mean.
You said you had 12 bank accounts.
But
do you know all the numbers of them?
No, of course not.
Do you know the numbers of any of them?
I do. I know the numbers of the one where I go to a hole in the wall and draw out daily money.
Right.
I know the number of that one.
Well, you don't need your bank account number for that. You just need a PIN number.
Yes, I know. But
So
I
you
do.
know the PIN number,
I know the PIN number.
but
Yeah.
you don't know the bank account number.
No, I do as well.
Well,
I
what
do.
is it then?
I'm not going to tell you, but I've had it since I was 14.
Oh, really?
I opened my first bank account at Barclays Bank in the Town Hall Square in Chester when I was 14.
Such a capitalist.
I was the only boy in my class who had a bank account, and when I got fined 50p for destroying a piece of wood in the woodwork class, which I had to pay for, I contemptuously gave the woodwork master, who was as thick as a brick, by the way.
Well, you gave him a cheque.
I gave him a cheque for 50p.
That's awful.
And he was...
What an awful child you must have been.
No, he was...
No toys, as you revealed yesterday.
No,
right?
no.
No friends to play
no,
with.
No.
And you had a bank account, like some kind of little mini William Hay figure.
Yeah. And what happened was...
That's amazing.
The guy who was the woodwork teacher, you see, I went to a very good school, and most of the teachers were like Oxbridge, they were like, they'd studied...
Oh, sure, yeah. Of course they were.
Yes, they had.
That's why this guy was thick, right?
Well, no, I was just about to say, they'd studied classics...
Oxford Poly.
No. They'd studied classics at Oxford or Cambridge, or English or geography. They were all very, very highly read men and great academics. The two who weren't were Tom Clamp, who was the PE teacher.
Yeah, you told us about him before.
Yeah, and he was a great
Clamp.
guy. Yeah, Tom Clamp. He served during the war with Bill Shankly and Matt Busby in the PE unit of the British Army.
PE unit?
Yeah, the PE unit.
What did they do?
Well, they did all this, jumping up and down like this and making the men fit to fight in
so
battle.
they weren't really in the
and
war,
all that. Eh?
They weren't really in the war then.
Well, they were in all the training camps in England before the men went to war, getting them fit. I mean, they made them, when you're carrying rifles and packs and all that, they made them, they used to jump up and down like this, because this is what we did in the Tom Clamp PE classes.
The desk.
I'll just show you. So unfortunately, Mr. Clamp didn't have a great intellect.
Yeah, well, that's nice of you to say.
But neither did the woodwork teacher, who actually reminded me of Jethro from the Beverly Hillbillies. Big. I mean, he was lacking in...
And why did he fine you 50p? You've seen the time, by the way.
Because I ruined a bit of wood in the woodwork class.
Well, isn't that what you do in woodwork?
Yeah,
you
but
ruin a bit of wood and turn it into a shelf.
No, but I did something with it, and I drilled a hole in it when I shouldn't have done, or something like that. Right. You know what I mean?
Well, was wood in short supply at your school?
I think it must have been
the woodwork area.
But the old thicko, who was the woodwork teacher, and I can't even remember his name. Talk about names. No, I can't. No. But he was a big galumping oaf. You know what I mean? And we all used to take.
I'm sure he speaks. He probably listens to the show.
No.
Hopefully you might give him a mention.
No, we used to take the mickey out of him, and
did he wear one of those brown coats?
Yes, he did actually. Yeah, when he was doing the woodwork class, and he drove a van as opposed to all the other teachers who drove like Volvos and cars like that.
Yeah.
So we used to stand.
Followed around by petrol tankers.
Well, we used to stand at the bus stop opposite the entrance of the school. And when he came out, we used to just insult him by shouting insults at him. It's the plumber, and all this kind of stuff and all that kind of stuff.
Did he ever cash the cheque?
Well, I think he must have done, yeah. But he didn't belong in our school. I mean, he was like a fish out of water. And by the way, all the other intellectual school teachers, they used to take the mickey out of him as well. I mean, one time I saw one of them hand him a brush. You know what I mean?
Because they thought it was a janitor.
That's right. Yes, that's what you should be doing. It's a very nasty thing to do.
Yeah.
That the guy who handed him the brush had a first-class honours degree in economics from Oxford.
Of course he did.
Yeah.
Have you seen The Time?
Yeah.
That was a terribly cruel story from your time as a child. But
Yeah.
Loads more coming up, of course. Good morning, I'm Mike Graham, he's Mike Parry. You're listening to the Two Mics on Extra Time. We're keeping you entertained throughout the night. There will be a podcast coming out in a few hours' time, of course. Sophie Nicolaus coming up in a little while. She's going to be live right here. Pardon?
Just met her for the first time.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, you did, yeah. So have
What
I,
an
actually.
experience. What a lady.
How did you greet her?
Well, I can detect that we've got self-dynamism, you know what I mean?
Self-dynamism?
Yeah, and our dynamism sort of, collided together like that.
There's a lot of that in California.
Yeah, there's a lot of that in California, and I could see sparks flying, believe me.
Really?
Believe me.
Did you call her my dear?
No, I didn't call her Sophie because I know her name.
Oh, right.
Okay?
You hadn't forgotten
Now,
it.
you're going to be broadcasting with her from 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
I shall then be in the back of the limo listening to
Right.
it. I want you to, make an impression. Okay?
I always make an impression.
Because Sophie, I can tell, could wrap you round her little finger.
I'm sure. Most women can. You're listening to Extra Time with me, Mike Graham, and Mike Parry on Talk Sport. Coming in, Chris in Crewe has texted into 81089. Pardon me, he says, for asking, but did Mike Parry mean he was fined 10 shillings, not 50p, as he was 14 in 1969?
Yeah, that's true.
As far as I recall. Pre-decimal.
It was 10 shillings,
So it was 10
Yeah,
shillings.
but I didn't want to sort of age myself. Listen, I've got to read this one out. This is from Liz,
Oh, yeah.
right? Now, Liz is a bit of a fan, a constant communicator, and, she's an aspirer to the first Mrs. Parry type role,
Right.
which I don't make a lot of these days because obviously maybe that
particular horse has bolted, I think, isn't it?
Exactly,
Yeah.
and maybe that ship has sailed, so
Yeah.
to speak. But she says, talking about wills and all that, don't make out that will, Mike, to your ducks. Don't leave it all to them. Leave it to the first Mrs. Parry. She's the person who will want the money and watch this space. So Liz still has ambition, but as you quite rightly say, Mike, the horse might have bolted on that.
Now, we've had a couple in here from Fraser in Motherwell who said, Mike's talking rubbish. Most cars are now front-wheel drive, and what he's saying about reversing is illegal.
No. Most cars are not front-wheel drive.
Yeah, they are.
No, they're not. Most cars are powered by the axle in the back of the car.
Rubbish.
No, I'm telling you, I know these things, right?
Well, you might have known him a while ago, but
Yeah.
not anymore. Here's one from Ian who says, a sadistic and depraved child Mike Parry must have been. And he says, listening in Melbourne, Australia, it's only Friday morning, so he's having a good time. I think he's right, though. There is. I mean, you were talking about some of the things that you did in your childhood yesterday on the show, and how, you weren't really very keen on Sabutio, you didn't really like Scale Electric, and what you really enjoyed doing was heating up a needle and sticking it into these Airfix models that you made to make it look like they'd been raked with gunfire.
That's right.
That's not normal.
Of course it's normal.
I mean, the only thing that would have been worse than that would have been pulling the wings off flies.
No.
It's the sort of thing that serial killers do.
No, rubbish. I
Very
was
strange
being
behaviour.
creative to make the plane look more like it'd been in a dogfight with a Messerschmitt 109E.
Yeah.
But I mean, for goodness sake, don't compare that to pulling wings off flies. That's terrible. I would never hurt any living creature in the world.
Really?
Not any living creature.
You told me to gas all those badgers.
No. I can't even stand on spiders or anything like that. I just don't do it. Now, here's one here from Ian. He says... actually, I wasn't going to read this one out, but I will. He says, yes, Mike Parry is definitely a sadistic and depraved child.
I've just read that one.
He must have been Friday in Melbourne. Have you read that one?
Yeah, that's the one I just read.
Oh, did you? What's the Friday in Melbourne
He's in
reference?
Melbourne, and it's Friday.
Oh, I see. Right, okay, great. Right, sorry,
Not
this
that
one.
difficult.
This one here from Brian. He says, I work in a bookies, fellas, and exactly the same thing happens to me with names. I just can't remember them. Always say pal for blokes, but I always say my lovely for girls. it's a glitch in my brain. I think that's nice.
No,
all right, my
sexist.
lovely.
Sexist.
I don't think that's sexist at all.
Yeah, of course it is.
I don't think it is.
I think it is. By the way, talking of all sort of sporting matters, have you seen Tiger Woods on the internal monitor giving his press conference? He's pulled out of this tournament.
Pulled out after the 12th hole, didn't he?
After the 12th hole.
Yeah, yeah.
And I've got this theory about
He's
Tiger
finished
Woods.
now, isn't he?
He is, basically.
Yeah,
I mean, I said a long time ago, after his incident with the Cadillac Escalade and the lamppost and the 9-iron and his former wife
Smashing
and all that.
the back window.
That everyone was so flabbergasted by what they found out he'd actually been doing.
Yes. You mean about his sexual proclivities?
Yeah, in the words of one of the guys in I think it was The Godfather 2, when Fredo was discovered not to be doing much of a job down in a casino in Las Vegas because he was literally banging cocktail waitresses 2 at a time. That was the kind of behaviour that Tiger Woods was getting involved in by his own admission.
Yeah.
And you'd have to think that was what was driving him to be such a great golfer. And I said at the time, there's no way that he will be able to get back to the top of the game unless he continues with that, because it was clearly so much part of his personality. And because he's now become this kind of, much more tamed figure, much more faithful man.
So you're saying...
I don't think he's ever going to win anything.
Basically, you're saying because he was a sex maniac, which he was...
Well, it was part of his personality.
That fired his industry, his energy and his unique ability.
And his will to win. Because
unique ability in golf and his will to win. Yeah, but, I mean, I tell you what, Mark, I'll go halfway with you on that, but the rest of the way I'll go is that the reason he started actually upping the number of women he was having illicit sex with was because he knew his body was falling apart. Because there's absolutely no doubt about it. I mean, once his knee went in, he won his last trophy with a broken knee, didn't he?
Well, with an injured leg.
Wounded knee, that's right. Yeah, he's standing on one leg and all that kind of stuff. He knew then that, he was going to have a hell of a battle to ever get fit again properly, and I think he went down the road of Gomorrah.
Yeah, but golf is a very mental game. It's not just about your physical prowess and your abilities and technically speaking, all of these professional golfers are so good at what they do that actually the margin of difference between winning everything and not winning everything is very, very small. And I think his entire personality changed that day. And when you're addicted to that kind of behaviour, I don't think you can give it up, really.
When you look at the money that's floshing around in golf, a report in the paper, I don't know how true it is, says Rory McIlroy settled the dispute with his former agents and
Horizon,
his current agents, £25 million.
Yeah. Well, it's got somewhere. They're saying it's somewhere between sort of 13 and 15, aren't they?
Well, anyway. No. The definitive report from a very respected golfer, I think it's in the Daily Mail, says it's about £25 million. It's going to pay a lot of legal costs and all that kind of stuff.
Well, he made that last year, didn't he?
I was about to say, it's not even 1 year's earnings. It's nothing like even 1 year's earnings for him now. Yeah. And he signed a deal a deal alone on one sponsorship deal on a bag or something like that, which is $69 million over the course of his expected career of 20 years. Yeah. I mean, the sums of money in golf are just phenomenal, aren't they? Absolutely phenomenal.
Absolutely beggars belief.
And what do you make of Lewis Hamilton breaking up again with the most beautiful woman in the world?
I would bet you any money you like that they'll get back together. And I think that what happens with Lewis Hamilton is that when he's driving and when the season is alive and when he's doing his job, basically...
He needs his girlfriend.
He loves having his girlfriend around. I think he's one of those guys that when he's not working properly, and I know he's probably training and doing all sorts of things with cars and testing and all that, but he's never the same guy. He's not the same man because he finds her boring or something.
Yeah. Well, again, I've forgotten her name.
Nicole
Scherzinger. Scherzinger, that's right, yeah. I'm a beautiful woman.
Yeah.
She's a bit older than him. I'm not sure if that matters or whatever.
I don't think so.
She doesn't look older than him.
But
the other thing is, she has such a hugely successful individual career.
She does.
That is often the problem. The reason...
She doesn't probably make anything like what he makes, though, does she?
Oh, no, not in terms of money, but she makes a million times what the ordinary woman in the street makes. Yeah. I mean, she is very successful. She's a successful model. She's a very successful game show judge, isn't it? Not game show, what is it?
Well, she was on the X Factor.
X Factor, that's right.
Well, she's a singer by trade.
Yeah, singer by trade. She was in the Pussycat Dolls, right? But more recently, she has starred very successfully in a stage show in the West End of London, Cats, written by Andrew Lloyd Webber, and got great reviews.
Right.
So she's clearly a very talented woman. And the problem is that when you are two superstars like that, as in Nicole Kidman and was it Tom Cruise?
Yeah.
The jealousies between you, professional jealousies, prize you apart. The egos.
Maybe.
The egos force you apart. That's why they never last. By the way...
Well, it didn't happen to Posh and Becks, though.
By the way, talking about Hollywood, which we are, Nicole Kidman and it was... Tom Cruise, that's right, yeah, Tom Cruise, yeah.
It's getting worse.
I know. I read avidly about the lives of great people and that kind of stuff. Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
Do you know Ronald Reagan was a sex maniac
Was
as
he?
well? He, in his early career as a B-movie star, right, he used to have this, like, lodge in the Beverly Wilshire Hotel grounds or something like that when he's making, like, B-movie films,
Right.
like downtrodden cowboys and all that kind of stuff. But apparently he had a succession of very, very high-profile actresses.
I'm sure he did.
Like Elizabeth Taylor.
Yeah.
And
Well, Hollywood was like that.
Vivian Leigh, was it?
Yeah, Vivian Leigh.
Vivian Leigh and people like that. I mean, it's amazing. Because when Reagan became president, we all thought he was the most upstanding and... what was the name of his wife?
Well, he was quite conservative, wasn't he? Nancy.
Nancy. I mean, she was so loyal to him. It was unbelievable, wasn't it?
Was it Jane Wyman that he was married to?
Jane Wyman he's married to first.
Yeah.
Now, she was in...
She was another actress.
Yeah, what was she in? What was
Can't remember.
Wasn't she in the Big Valley? No, that was Barbara Stanwyck. Barbara Stanwyck, I remember that. The Big Valley. You remember the Big Valley?
No, too long
Lee
ago for
Majors
me.
was in the Big Valley.
Was
He?
he?
$6 Million Man.
He couldn't have been in that.
He was.
He wasn't that old.
He was. That was his first TV series, The Big Valley.
All right.
And he was the son of Barbara Stanwyck. I know for sure.
Don't remember
See,
that.
I can remember all these names, can't I?
Yeah, but that's what I've told
Ronald
you
Reagan,
before.
sex maniac. Who would have thought it?
One of the great, signs of your deteriorating mind is that you can remember that stuff. You can remember stuff from 50 years ago. You
Yeah.
can't remember what you just said 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, my mind is not deteriorating, Mike. My mind might be at overload point.
It could be.
I know so much about so many things.
Yeah.
I've absorbed so much information over the
You
years.
think it might be full up?
Might be.
Very possible.
I mean, for instance, guess what I found out yesterday?
I don't know.
Now, I've told you before about the fact that I hate having... what is it I don't like having in food?
You don't like eggs?
No, it's the stuff
Cheese?
they put in curries and things, makes
Turmeric?
makes your breath...
Garlic?
Garlic.
How can you not remember garlic?
Oh, yeah, I know, I'm sorry, because you've got me confused. Guess what I discovered yesterday,
What did you
talking
discover
to my
yesterday?
contacts at Lambeth Palace?
Your contacts at Lambeth Palace?
Yes.
Yeah, all right, go
What
on
are you
then.
laughing at?
Because you don't have any contacts at Lambeth Palace.
Lambeth Palace is the official home of who?
Of the Archbishop of London, isn't it?
Archbishop of Canterbury.
Yeah.
Archbishop of Canterbury, whose name is... Yeah?
What's his name?
Welby, Justin Welby.
Yeah.
Justin
That's
Welby.
the guy who used to work for BP, isn't it?
That's the guy who used to work for BP, right? He's the current Archbishop of Canterbury. He can't stand garlic.
Really?
He won't have garlic served in any of the official lunches at Lambeth Palace. How about that?
Oh, no, it doesn't surprise me.
No, how about that?
Well, it's a piece of useless information of no possible sense to be made of.
But don't you see the sort of connection? What am I doing with my fingers?
You're making a sign of a cross.
Yeah, why is that?
What, do you think you could be the next Archbishop of Canterbury?
No, but I mean, in all the vampire films.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Do you know what I mean? All the vampire
Apparently
films.
he's allergic to garlic, by the way.
He's allergic to garlic.
Yeah.
Is he? How do you find that out?
Maybe he's a vampire.
How do you find that out?
Well, I've just been told that.
You've just been told that, you see. See, I get information, I bring it in here,
Yeah.
and then you get it free in your ear from somebody behind the glass who's
I don't get
who's
it free.
helping your thought process.
No, I pay very high for it.
Anyway, what I'm saying
You
is...
think he might be a vampire? Is that what you're saying?
No, of course I don't think he's a vampire. What I'm saying is, I think that there's got to be a connection, because, of course, the only thing that wards a vampire off is the garlic,
Yeah,
isn't
but
it?
if you were a vampire
Or a
living
stake
in modern
through the heart.
society, would you not tell everyone you were allergic to garlic so they never brought it anywhere near you? I think that's very suspicious. Anyway, we'll develop that a little bit later on. The Porky quiz coming up very shortly.
Yep.
Loads more as well. We are the two mics on TalkSport. This is TalkSport Extra Time. We are the two mics, and that music heralds, of course, the latest update from the Penthouse of Horrors. This is a place where there's a washing machine in the middle of the kitchen because you can't get the old one out, where the wet bathroom still hasn't happened, and so you can't use the shower, and where the roof terrace is still presumably a complete and utter mess.
It looks like downtown Baghdad.
Yeah, what's the latest scenario?
Well, there's legal matters going on about getting the old roof terrace done.
Has it moved forward at all in the last week?
Well, I don't check on a daily basis because the legal process works extremely slowly, doesn't it?
It does.
It's no good me going to see a man about a will this morning and asking him to get involved in trying to resuscitate the roof terrace, is there?
But you might
He's
have
a different
heard
sort of lawyer.
if it's moved forward in
Well,
some way,
I
shape or
check
form.
every day and it's just a bit of a nightmare. I don't want to talk about these things, As for the wet room, that's moving along.
Oh, is
now.
it?
That's moving along.
So you've actually got a plumber in now?
Oh, I've got more than one plumber, mate.
Right.
A designer, got a tiler, got a roof man, got a floor
Oh,
man.
so they're all in working on that then, are they?
Tomorrow morning. All coming tomorrow morning.
Right.
Tomorrow morning, I'm having to leave my main domicile and decamp to the coast for the weekend.
Right. And leave them all to it?
And leave them to it,
That doesn't sound like a good idea.
Well,
don't you think you should supervise?
No, because the housekeeper's doing that.
Oh, okay.
She's going to be there over the weekend.
That's nice of her.
Absolutely no problem. She sorted out for me. Now, what I have done...
Have you told the neighbours downstairs that there's going to be, very, very heavy pipes running under the bathroom floor?
No.
Above their ceiling?
It's not their concern.
Well, it is if they burst.
No, it's not their... Well, they're not going to burst.
How do you know?
Well, because pipes don't burst.
Of course they do.
Well, yes, they do occasionally if you let them freeze and all that, but this won't happen. These are brand new pipes, and generally speaking, they by the way, all the plumbing's being done by a group of Polish plumbers.
Is it?
Who are very good at it. Yeah, excellent. Yeah.
Good.
No, generally speaking, the workmanship in this country is very high standard, and pipes don't work. Now, what I have done, because it's, I've had a rethinking pattern about my whole domestic situation.
Have you?
A whole domestic situation. The 20 or 30 miles a week that I try to walk are undoubtedly wearing down the joints.
Yeah.
I get knee ligament damage, get metatarsal damage, ankle damage,
Right.
I get sciatica damage, get back damage,
Right.
and even...
You could change your diet.
and
You were
even-
listening to Adam Richmond earlier, he was talking about if you eat different kinds of food, it actually is better for your joints.
I'm sure that's right. And even shoulder damage, right? So what I've done is I've had... In fact, the housekeeper got involved in this, did it very well. I've had all the furniture rearranged so that now... If I walk from the front door to the furthest extremity of the house, which is the door out onto the roof terrace, it used to be one straight line. I now weave and wend my way around the main bedroom, back into the hall, around my office, in and out, around
So you've got like a walking track?
That's right, absolutely right. Around the lounge, over the couch, okay?
Over it?
Yeah, like a horse would jump a fence, over the couch, right, to,
That doesn't sound very good.
Yeah, to exercise the muscles that you wouldn't normally use, scrambling. I mean, I leap the couch, to be honest.
That sounds very dangerous.
No, it's not, because it's not that high and all that kind of stuff. Around the coffee table 3 times.
Yeah.
Around the sedan chair.
Around the washing machine in the middle of the kitchen floor.
Well, at the moment, that's true.
Yeah.
Around the table, which has got 6 chairs position, but each day pull the chairs out a little further to make the track a little longer, you see what I mean?
Well, how many times do you have to walk around it to make up, 30 miles a week? That's an awful lot of walking inside, isn't it?
No, I'm still doing some walking outside, but I've also... in the study of physiology, found out that short, intense bursts of energy are as good as walking 2 or 3 miles.
Could be.
So that's what I'm doing.
Right.
Okay? So I've got that all sorted
well,
now.
That doesn't sound in any way like any kind of substitute, though.
No, I think it is.
And it does sound quite unsafe.
No, quite seriously, Mike. Quite seriously, I think it is. And also, the other thing is, on the way, I now grip the tops of the doors and do pull-ups.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, see what I mean? And
why didn't you just get the exercise bike put in and have done with it? Because you could have just sat on that and it wouldn't have put any stress on your joints, and you could have just, got the exercise that way.
That's a bit more complicated. To get a proper bike fitted and all that, you've got to have a guy come into your house
and you told us all
calibrate
this,
it.
But
and
you
all
got
that.
one for Christmas, didn't you?
Yeah, but it's...
So what's happened to that?
Well, I've decided that's not a priority when all the other things have got to be done.
Right. So you haven't got it, in other words?
Well, it's in boxes, actually.
Well, these guys, the Polish plumbers, are going to think you're a bit weird, aren't they, if you start walking around the apartment while they're trying to fix it in your bathroom?
Well, I won't be doing it while they're there, because they'll be doing it over the weekend, and I won't be there.
So you expect them to finish it over the weekend?
No, but I expect it to be well underway.
Really?
All the main things will be done, and then it's just literally the ceramics, the tiling and all that kind of stuff, okay?
That could take a long time, though.
It's the plumbing bit that's got to be done.
Yeah.
But it is being done, and it's not a problem. And I want to talk to you about the kitchen you've just talked about and the washer in the... I've seen a report, right, which worries me greatly. We are now throwing away so much food in this country, it's a scandal.
It is.
We could feed, literally, countries in Africa in what we throw away in a week in this country.
Not just from the home, but also from the shops.
Oh, tons and tons and tons that come from the shops. Now, do you know that when you get down to the depths of it, I was born...
You're not going to give us the year, are you?
I was born 13 years after the end of the Second World War, okay?
Right.
And my mother had a
That
ration
makes
book.
it 1958.
Well, whatever. My mother still had a ration book for me.
Yeah.
Can you believe that?
I can believe that.
Still had a ration book. Now, the stuff you used to get in that ration book is now the stuff that mainly has been thrown away. Excess eggs, excess potatoes, excess meat that's gone off, sugar and all that. Well, sugar doesn't get thrown away because it doesn't degrade.
Well, that was in ration books, wasn't it?
Yeah, but rancid meat and all that kind of stuff, because people just don't eat it. Sausages, brought them yesterday, on today, throw them away and all that. Now, when I was a child, Mike, we ate so frugally, you wouldn't believe it. And I bet you probably did as well.
Yeah, we did,
So frugally.
Well, there was no such thing as a massive supermarket to go and buy all of this stuff that you can now buy.
No.
Like, when you go and, like you were saying, when you buy your tuna fish, you get like 6 cans.
6 cans, yeah.
You'd buy 1 can of tuna fish, that would be it.
Yes, that's right. But what I'm saying is, if my mother had potatoes, she would peel them and then chop them up to make chips. And a nightly meal could be a plate of chips and bread and butter, right?
Yeah.
Which
Chip butty.
Yeah, well, I loved, right? But then, for breakfast the following morning, I might get served up the scrapings off the potatoes.
Really?
Well, the peelings off the potato, which my
Well,
mum...
like potato skins.
Potato skins. But they weren't skins, they were just peelings.
Really?
They weren't like potato skins you get in
Sounds like something out
Joe
of
Allen's
sort of,
restaurant, you know what I mean?
Post-Bolshevik revolution
Yes.
Russia.
No, it was. It was like that. My mother would not waste a thing. She was brought up in, very trying circumstances in a pub in Birkenhead during the war, okay?
Yeah.
And, when you got bombs falling on you all over the place, food was scarce, particularly as the U-boats were sinking half of the merchant fleet of the Navy. Right? The merchant navy.
Well, also, we didn't have all the food coming in from other parts of the world, the exotic food that
I've just said that.
as normal.
Just said that.
No, you
All the boats were being sunk by
No,
the...
but they weren't bringing in avocados, were they, in 1958?
Well, I'm not sure about
People
that.
didn't really eat avocados in this
But
country
anyway,
in
the point of my
1958.
story is my mother would waste nothing.
Yeah.
If a piece of bread went stale, she'd cut out the stale bits and then toast it. If
What if it was mouldy?
Well, you wouldn't eat mouldy bread, obviously, because that can make you ill. But no, but the thing is, I've inherited her parsimonious ways towards food.
Well, that's good.
I don't throw any food away. I keep food till I've eaten it, or I die. Not I die, but I mean, you understand what I'm saying. Until until the food's
So, what's the oldest
unedible.
oldest thing you've got in your cupboard then?
I found a tin of what was it now? I think it was a tin of Bisto the other day.
A tin of Bisto?
No.
Don't come in a tin, does it?
A carton.
A carton of Bisto.
of Bisto, which should have been eaten by 07.
Right. That's a long time ago.
Long time.
Well, you're not going to throw that out?
Of course I'll throw it out. Throw it out. It's gone because you forget about it. See, the problem is, Mike, having two homes, you stock up in one home thinking you're going to be there, but then you have to go to the other, and then you come back and you forget and all that kind of stuff.
Shocking.
But I don't like to waste. I don't like to waste stuff. But what I'm saying is, for instance, if I had one of the, you can get one of these things. It's a plastic container full of slices of ham. Maybe 16 of them.
Yeah.
So buy 16 because it's cheaper to buy 16 than to buy 4.
Well, that's what the
times
problem
4.
is, because people buy more because they think it's cheaper, and then they don't actually eat it all.
This is the point. I do. And until I've eaten that ham, I discipline myself.
Don't eat anything else.
Exactly. I eat ham butties until...
Do you
all
still
that...
want ham to be provided in the dressing room at Birmingham then?
Yeah, would like
Maybe
sliced
you could just
ham.
bring your own.
Like sliced... I like
Why don't you
sliced
just bring
ham.
your own ham?
I like sliced ham because it's light to eat. It doesn't lie in your stomach. Therefore, it doesn't affect your breathing, which we have to do when we're performing on stage. And it doesn't affect my diction.
What do you mean it doesn't affect your breathing?
Well, because you don't understand. Only a third of my heart works.
So you've said.
Yeah, and a heart has to cope with a number of things. One, first of all, it has to provide the energy for your lungs, so you can breathe and speak.
It has to pump the blood around your body.
It has to pump the blood around your body.
Yeah.
And the next most important thing it does, and takes up all the energy, is digesting your food.
Does it?
Yes, that's why I never eat before I go on air. That's why I never eat when we're working. That's why a bit of ham would be nice just to take away the hunger pangs, but not to actually cause a problem to the tricky ticker which I have, and therefore cause a problem to the delivery.
Well, you're going to bring your own ham then?
No, we'll get ham there. We'll get it. Don't worry.
I don't think they can supply ham.
Yes, of course they can.
I'm
You've
not
been
sure.
up there this week, and
Yeah.
they're
Well,
very...
it's not a supermarket, is it?
No, of course not a supermarket, but they're very hospitable. But anyway, look, I'll tell you that. We're throwing away so much food today that it's a blinking scandal. And actually, one of the worst things people do is they buy fruit and it goes mouldy and they throw it out. That's a terrible waste. Bananas that go black and all that. I like a black banana, actually, don't you?
Now, well, put them in the freezer and you can make banana bread with them.
Yeah, okay. But I like bananas to go, really funny colour. But I do think it's a scandal, and I wish there was something we could do about it. And what I'm really getting down to is, don't you think there would be a case to reintroduce rationing in this country so that people can't stupidly go and buy food they don't eat?
Absolutely not.
I think there should be.
That's
I think
the
there
second
should...
most idiotic
No,
thing that's come out of
I
tonight.
I do think that there's
Look
a
at
case
the time.
for that.
Have you seen the time?
I think there's a case for that, mate.
We've got to do the Porky quiz.
Yeah.
In the Porky quiz.
Who sung that song, by the way?
Very popular. Do you know? Do you want me to answer?
I think his first name was Clarence.
Edwin.
What?
Edwin?
Edwin Clarence.
Not Edwin Clarence.
Clarence
No.
Edwin?
Not Clarence Edwin.
Oh, Edwin Starr.
Edwin Starr.
Oh, was that Edwin Starr?
Where'd you get Clarence from?
I thought his name was Clarence,
Clarence was the cross-eyed lion in Daktari.
I know he was, Daktari. What a great show that was.
It was a good show.
That's the first time we ever saw people wearing those silly safari suits, and then everybody started wearing them, didn't they, in England?
I never did.
Yeah, they did in the mid-60s.
Did you have one?
Well, I was too young, but I mean, certainly, all the old swinging 60s set will start wearing these safari suits, yeah.
They did indeed.
Yeah.
However, the quiz is not about Daktari.
No.
It's about the battles of World War II, which is what you asked to be quizzed on earlier.
Well, I didn't really ask, you
when I
put
said
me on
what would
the
you like to
spot.
be quizzed on, you said the battles of World War II.
Well, I could have said something that I was an expert on, like ABBA or something like that, but that would
ABBA?
have been too easy, yeah.
You want to be quizzed on ABBA next week?
Yes, definitely.
All right, we'll do that next week.
Right.
Anyway, as ever, the questions have been compiled
Okay.
by independent quiz masters.
Right.
If you get one right, you will hear this sound.
Excellent.
It's different from the Porky siren, that one. And if you get one wrong, you'll hear this.
Sorry, I got a bit confused because everyone keeps mentioning the war.
Okay.
Recognise that?
John Cleese.
Yeah, Basil Fawlty. Right, question number one. Where was the Battle of the Kasserine Pass?
What?
Where was the Battle of the Kasserine Pass? This is a question about battles of World War II.
Yeah, World War II.
Yeah.
Yeah, not, the Indian Mutiny.
This is the World
Or
War
the
II.
Boer War.
This is a battle in World War II.
What's the name of it again?
The Kasserine Pass.
Kasserine Pass is in Italy.
Incorrect.
Sorry, I got a bit confused because everyone keeps mentioning the war.
It was part of the Tunisia campaign in February 1943.
That's ridiculous. We didn't have a Tunisia campaign.
We did.
There was no Tunisia campaign.
Yes, there was.
No, there wasn't.
0 out of 1.
It wasn't. That wasn't a campaign. Do you know what that was?
What was it?
That was an incursion by the troops who formed the Desert Fox movement. No, the Desert Rats movement. Okay?
Yeah, well, so there was a campaign.
It wasn't a campaign at all. That was a minor incursion. That was not a battle. I'm sorry, that was not a battle.
It was a battle.
It was not a battle.
Yeah,
the battles that took place in North Africa were Tobruk, which took
There
place.
were lots of other battles.
El Alamein.
Yeah.
There were 2 El Alamein battles and 1 Tobruk battle.
I'm
there was
afraid
no
that's
battle
not
in
the
Tunisia.
question.
In fact, Tunisia didn't even exist in those days.
Really? Okay, we'll give you a quiz on Tunisia later. Question number 2.
That's a bum question.
Question number 2. What was Operation Strangle?
Operation Strangle?
Strangle. Why are you looking at me like that?
I don't understand the question.
What was Operation Strangle?
I'm supposed to be asked a question about battles.
Yeah.
So you're supposed to ask me about a battle.
Yeah.
Right, you're saying Operation Strangle was a battle?
It is a question about a battle, yes.
A battle called Strangle.
Well, it was an operation called Strangle.
Well, this is what I mean. Was it a battle or wasn't it?
It was part of a battle, yes.
Oh, it was part of a battle. Well, my quiz is not on parts of battles; it's on battles.
Well, it's the question number 2, so you can.
Have you ever
answer it
heard
or
of,
not.
of like Gettysburg? Have
Yes.
you?
Yeah, I have.
Have you ever heard of Waterloo?
There was an address, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was also a battle. Have you ever heard of Waterloo?
I have, yes.
Yeah,
Station.
Waterloo was a battle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a battle.
Not in
right?
World War II, it wasn't.
Right. So Strangle.
Yeah, Operation Strangle.
You're saying it was a part of a battle.
Yeah.
That was. Oh, I know what that was. That was the Battle of the Bulge.
No, incorrect.
Sorry, I got a bit confused because everyone keeps mentioning the war.
It was, in fact, air interdiction operations north of Rome, 1943 to 1944.
Well, that wasn't
Which was
a battle.
the battle for Rome. It was.
No, it wasn't
Question
the battle
number
for Rome.
3.
We didn't run the battle for Rome. The Americans did.
Well, there was
they
still a
invaded
battle.
the foot of the
Yeah, but
boot.
it was-
They invaded the boot of
It
Italy.
was still a battle in World War
And
II.
they couldn't get. Well, yeah, but the battle was at Monte Cassino.
There were lots of battles.
The battle was at Monte Cassino. You ask any war expert and he will back me up. The battle in Italy
Calm
was
down.
at Monte Cassino.
0 out of 2. Question
Monte
number
Cassino
3.
was a monastery which we were reluctant to bomb, but in the end we had to blow to pieces because the Germans were sheltering there.
You're running out of time. You won't have any time for the real questions.
Well, I
Question
haven't got
number
any
3.
real questions yet.
What became known as the hardest day?
Well, the longest day or the hardest
Not
day?
the longest day, no, the hardest day.
Right, the hardest day was the battle for Ruminiger Bridge.
Incorrect.
Sorry, I got a bit confused because everyone keeps mentioning the war.
It was the air battles during the Battle of Britain, one specific day, August the 18th, 1940, where more planes were lost on that day than in any other day of the war. Known as the
But that was
hardest
the Battle
day.
of Britain.
Yeah, that's a battle.
Why didn't you just tell me? Why didn't you ask me in which battle did the hardest day take place?
Well, I just said what became known as the hardest day.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's stupid. That's the question. The answer was not a battle. Honest to God. I think
Maybe you
we'll
should
have to
set your own quiz.
I think we'll have to abandon this.
Question
feature.
number 4.
Yeah.
Who
Yeah.
played General Dwight D. Eisenhower in The Longest Day? Remember The Longest Day?
Longest day.
Not the hardest day.
Yeah. Dwight D. Eisenhower.
Yeah.
That was
Supreme Commander of Allied Forces, of course.
Dwight D. Eisenhower in The Longest Day.
Yeah.
That was an American guy.
Yeah.
And it was the guy who also played General Patton, I think. So that's Rod Steiger.
Incorrect.
What?
It was Henry Grace.
Sorry, I got a bit
Nobody's
confused
ever
because
heard of
everyone
Henry
keeps
Grace.
mentioning the war.
0 out of 4.
Well, you haven't asked me a question about a battle yet, so I'm
Okay.
not recognising any of these.
Question number 5.
Yeah.
You should get this one. Where is the famous Battle of Iwo Jima statue situated?
Huh?
You know the statue, right? The Battle
Yeah.
of Iwo Jima.
Yeah.
Right. Where is it?
On Iwo Jima.
No, it isn't.
Of course
Incorrect.
it is. No,
Sorry,
rubbish.
I got a bit confused because everyone keeps mentioning the war.
You're talking about the flag being raised by the American...
by the Marines.
Marines,
Yeah.
yeah. Where do you think it is?
Well, it's not where I think it is. I'll tell you where exactly it is. It's not Iwo Jima. Yeah. It's Arlington Cemetery
Arlington Cemetery?
in Virginia.
That's the other one. There's two.
There's two of them.
There's two, yeah.
Well, that's
There
the
is-
only one I
there-
know about.
Hang on, there's one on Iwo Jima.
Not as far as I'm aware.
Have you been there?
I haven't been to Iwo Jima,
Neither
but
have
I've
I.
been to Arlington
But I know
Cemetery.
people who have, and I've been to Arlington Cemetery
Well,
and
we'll
seen
have-
the eternal flame,
Yeah.
which is on the grave of who?
John F. Kennedy.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Where Bill Clinton went.
I'm not doing a quiz. Anyway, 0 out of 5. We'll check that for you. Question number 6.
Yeah.
Can you name one of 4 Navy cruisers taking part in the Battle of River Plate?
Battle of River Plate.
You are a massive naval expert, obviously.
No, Battle of River Plate. That
Yeah.
was down in Argentina, because that's where the River Plate is.
Uh-huh.
Cruisers, did you say?
One
of 4?
One of 4 Navy cruisers. Just name one of them.
Right, okay. One of them could have been the Hood. Another one could have been... One of them could have been
What's
the Hood.
your answer?
Well, hang on. I'm running through a few of them, because there were 4 ships altogether.
There were, yeah.
There was the... one of them could have been the Hood. The other one could have been the Exeter. The other one could have been HMS Newcastle. The other one could have been... let me just think this one through... Well, there are 3 of them anyway.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll give you a point for that because one of them was HMS Exeter.
Thank you!
Look how happy he is. Look how happy he is. The others were HMS Cumberland, not
Yeah,
Newcastle.
yeah.
HMS Ajax.
Yeah, Ajax,
and finally, the one that I thought you would have known.
Yeah.
HMNZS, which I presume is a New Zealand
Yes.
fleet boat. Achilles. And the reason I thought you'd have known that one is because you know what the name of the commander of that boat was?
Parry.
Captain Parry.
Captain Parry.
Extraordinary.
Oh.
Okay, 1 out of 6.
See, know my naval history.
Question number
Yep.
7. When did the Battle of Dunkirk take place?
Battle of Dunkirk.
Yeah.
There wasn't a battle in Dunkirk. There was an evacuation.
Yeah, the Battle of Dunkirk was taking place before the evacuation.
Well, that would have been in 1939.
Incorrect.
40.
Sorry, I got a bit
40.
It was 1940. I can't give you
1940, you can.
I can't.
It tripped
You
over
said
from
the wrong
39
year.
to 40.
No, it didn't. It started in May and finished in June.
I knew it was 1940. I was only thinking aloud when I
1
said
out of 7.
39 to 40.
All right, question number 8. See if you can redeem yourself. What is considered the bloodiest battle of World War II?
Bloodiest battle of World War II. Now, is this... Do you mean between the British and the Germans?
I mean, what is considered the bloodiest battle of World War II?
Between who and who?
Well, if I tell you who it was between, you'll probably guess it.
I would say that would have to be the bloodiest battle, Stalingrad.
Correct.
Thank you. Woohoo!
Question number 9. Can you name 2 of the code names used for the beaches of Normandy during the D-Day landings?
Yes, Sword
Correct.
and Echo
Wrong.
and hang on, Sword and Juno.
Juno, correct.
Juno, Sword and Juno. Woo, woo, woo! I'm on a roll here.
So you've now got 3.
4 because I got 1940.
No, you didn't.
I was thinking aloud
No,
of
that was wrong.
1939.
You got
I was
3 out of 9.
I was.
Final question, number 10.
Yeah.
Can you name... Have a listen to this bit of music.
Well, it's a nice bit of music. What relevance has it got to a battle?
Can you name the historic TV series that this was a theme tune for?
What's around a battle? Written around a battle?
Around World War II.
Wait, was it a battle?
It was about World War II.
Well, yeah, but I'm supposed to be answering questions about battles.
They did some things about battles in amongst it. It's a very famous
Some
series.
things. Oh, God. This sounds like a romance rather than a battle.
Well, I
Was
can't
the-
give
was
you any
there
more
romance
clues.
in it?
I can't give you any more clues.
And
no.
by the way, was it English or American?
It was a documentary. I'm not giving you any more clues.
I want to know if it's English or American.
I'm not telling you.
Right. What was that one where that guy lay on the beach and kissed the woman as the surf came in?
Yeah, that was From Here to Eternity.
From Here to Eternity.
Burt Lancaster.
Yeah, Burt Lancaster.
Yeah, that was a film.
That was a film.
That
was
wasn't
it?
a documentary.
Right. Okay.
Have to hurry you.
Okay. I would say something like
no.
the White Cliffs of Dover.
Sorry, I got a bit confused because everyone keeps mentioning the war.
It was The World at War. the most famous documentary ever about the Second World War.
But where was the battle?
There was loads of battles.
There was no battle. There was no battle in
You got,
in that
as
one.
I predicted, 3 out of 10.
I got 4 at least, and I refused to acknowledge the last one, so I get a point there. 5. I say 5.
You
I
can
say
say
5.
as much as you want.
I'd say
You can
5.
No, you got 3 out of 10.
I
Use your
never
score.
said 1939.
You did.
I didn't.
Would you like us to play it back to you?
It was loud thinking. It wasn't, honestly, it wasn't
Loud
an answer.
thinking.
It wasn't an answer. I knew it was 1940. I knew Dunkirk was 1940.
Well, why'd you
My
say
father joined the Royal
1939?
Navy in 1940
Yeah, I know.
because of
It'd be a
Dunkirk.
shame you're getting that one wrong.
Because of Dunkirk.
Shocking. Absolutely shocking. 3 out of 10. Another disaster for Porky on the quiz. Loads more coming up next on...
Absolute nonsense. He's been sent off in one of those derbies, you know,
Has he?
Goodison. He's also had he got involved when an Everton player got sent off. I actually
What
been
are you
in the...
suggesting? Are you saying that, that's what might happen?
Well, I tell you what, I think it's amongst the games with the highest count of red cards in the history of the
I'm
Premiership.
sure it is. It's live on TalkSport at 5:30 tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, of course it is. And, being an Evertonian, of course, this is only of interest to Evertonians because we all have our own clubs, but I've actually been in the tunnel as the teams walked out, hearing that music strike up, and it's utterly inspiring.
What were you doing in the tunnel?
I went down there with the kit sponsor, I think at the time, I think it was one of those mobile phone companies and all that. And I was just down there and tons of teams came out and it was great. But I mean, that would be the same experience if you were an Arsenal fan and you were in the tunnel when Arsenal came out. It's just a personal thing, but it's very exciting.
So you're going to be there tomorrow then?
No, I'm not going.
Why not?
I can't do it this season. As
You can't do it.
Well, as Tommy Shelby said in Peaky Blinders, that fantastic...
That show you gave away the ending for.
That's right, yeah. That fantastic character played by Cillian Murphy, fantastic actor. There are things I have to do.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but hang on a second. You're supposed to be, TalkSport's biggest Everton fan, right?
Well, I think I am. If
How
you
many
look at
times
my
have you
history,
been to Goodison this week?
I haven't been to Goodison this
You
year.
haven't been to Goodison?
No, I haven't been to
Park?
Goodison. There are things
Well,
I have
you've got
to
a
do.
season ticket.
No, I haven't got a season ticket this season.
You haven't got one?
No, I did not renew my season ticket at the start of this season.
That's unbelievable.
For reasons which I explained to senior officials at Everton. There are things I have to do.
Having opted out of it, then will you have to sort of wait a long time to get it back?
No, I'll opt back into it next season.
Well, isn't there a waiting list for Everton season tickets?
Yes, there are, but I have an option on it to get it returned next season.
Well, that doesn't sound right, because if you give it up, surely somebody else should have a chance to take it.
Somebody has taken it.
Yeah.
But I.
Well, how will you get it back then? You can kick them out.
No, I know who's taking it, and I'm retaking possession of it next season.
Oh, really?
Yes.
With his agreement?
Yes.
Really?
His or hers agreement, yes.
So you don't know them?
Yes, of course I do. But
So they're going to get kicked out in favour of you?
No, not at all.
No, I think that's a shocking
Not
state
at
of
all.
affairs.
Not at all. They'll move to another part of the ground.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Well, will you be watching it at least somewhere?
Oh, of course I will, yeah. I'll be down on the coast watching it. There's a great pub down there. I could watch it at home. Obviously got the facilities to watch it at home from the penthouse and look out over Portsmouth Harbour and celebrate wildly on the old balcony in -4 degrees, because that's how cold it gets when the wind comes in off the harbour. Or I can go to a local boozer where I'm something of a celebrity, if you see what I mean.
And that's really why you're going there?
Well, I don't like to let
Is
the
that where
boys
they
down.
do the meat raffle?
No, it's not where they do the meat raffle. No, this is down on the coast. And I might watch it there, amongst friends and feel the warmth of...
I didn't think you had any friends.
The warmth... Yes, I have. Warmth,
These are acquaintances, right?
acquaintances, that's a better word. Warmth and solidarity.
Any other Everton fans down there?
Not really. They're mostly Southampton and Portsmouth fans.
Right. So why would they be watching Everton-Liverpool?
Well, because it's a great game, it's a great fixture, and they're connoisseurs of the football.
And what do you make of Mr. Morales and his comments?
Well...
Thinks he's going to hang about till the end of the season, pretty much.
If you don't want to play for Everton, as far as I'm concerned, you can leave. And if you're still there wearing an Everton shirt, I don't care. Honestly, I don't. I'm more interested to see whether James McCarthy will play, because he's vital
not playing,
to
is
us.
he?
Well, I don't know. It's a bit of a mystery. Earlier in the week, it was said that he tweaked the hamstring again, wasn't playing. But, word coming out of Everton today is that he may well be available. So we'll have to see. And Len, of course, our new loan signing, whether or not he'll be able to put a smile... Yeah, put a smile on his face and see if he can play.
Do you think he's going to start?
I don't know, because I can't second guess what Mr. Martinez is going to do. It's going to be a very difficult game. Liverpool have run into form. Liverpool are now closer to the sort of terrific form they had when Suarez was there than they have been
and Sturridge
since he left. And Sturridge, I don't think Sturridge will start. But he would be a lethal weapon to come on later in the game. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But what I was going to say is that sometimes there is a negation about form in these games.
There is, yeah.
Everton got home advantage. That doesn't always work, by the way, in Merseyside derbies.
No.
The best derbies, Mike, were years and years ago when there was no, because it was all standing, well, it wasn't all standing, but the majority of the ground was standing, there were no restrictions on the amount of fans from the other side of the park who could come. I mean, obviously, there was an allocation that they got as the away team, but with it being the city of Liverpool...
way more people came in, yeah.
Exactly. With it being the city of Liverpool, more tickets change hands than they do these days because they're very strongly regulated these days. These days, you only get about maximum 6,000 fans, don't you, from the opposition. In those days, half the ground was definitely Liverpool and half the ground was Everton.
They'll make a lot of noise at Liverpool.
Same with Anfield. Yeah, they make a terrific amount of noise. So, it will be a great occasion and all that. And, I can't say I am overconfident. It would be stupid to say that. You'd be in ignorance. But I do think it'll be a great game this time.
Yeah.
Because it very, very desperate need for Everton to win. And Liverpool now think they've picked up a bit of momentum and they could head towards old Brendan Rodgers, right? I'm sure he's a very good man. And I'm sure that he is very sincere when he talks repeatedly about the aura of the club which he now manages. But I'm getting a bit fed up with it.
Are you?
Yeah, all this, he speaks in that manner where his voice is,
He's very considered way of speaking.
Have you ever been to Belfast and seen the way the Liverpool fans there?
It's quite solemn, really, isn't it? The way he speaks?
It is quite solemn, but what I'm saying is, he constantly reminds us that, I've got the job that was, in the footsteps of men like Bill Shankly and Bob Paisley.
Which is true.
And it is true, but he shouldn't be dwelling on that all the time. He should only be focused on the future, not the past. I mean,
hang on. Instead of listening to you doing an impression of it, let's have a listen to him.
Okay.
When I came in here, a few 2.5 years ago, Louis was an outstanding player, and over the period of time with his goals and his performances, he left here as everyone seen as a world-class player. And I think that young Phil, he won't score the goals that Louis done, different position, and he's more a player that makes the last pass.
Now, that sounds very like what I just did, doesn't it?
No, nothing like it.
When I came in here 2.5 years ago, Louis was here. He was a distinguished player, and an even more distinguished player now.
When I came in here, a few 2.5 years ago...
Doesn't sound anything like you.
See. And what he was saying tonight was, he said, I am so privileged to have the job that was filled by... men in the past, Bill Shankly.
But why shouldn't he say that?
Bob Paisley.
He's very proud of his team.
And this club has a fantastic heritage, and I'm privileged and humbled. Well, I think he should give all that up.
Why?
Well, I think he should just say, I'm Brendan Rodgers. The past has created a fantastic bedrock on which I can build, and I intend to build on it, and then just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Leave it at that,
Well, he could do.
And then
Maybe he's
forward.
just got a bit more of the gift of the gathering. How about this for a spooky tweet that I just had from Ian, right?
Okay.
He says, how is this? I'm working at a Volvo dealership in Melbourne, and I'm doing a job for a customer right now named Mike Parry.
No, I can't believe it. No.
That's two people
amazing.
that'd be called Parry, because we had the commander of that ship in the Battle of the River Plate.
Mr. Parry, yeah.
It's obviously a very common name.
Well, it's not that common unless you come from Wales, and I don't come from Wales, but obviously... No, but you know what I mean?
Well, how many
Wales
other
is just
people
across the border
called Mike Parry have you met in your life?
There is one guy around who's, I think he was a DJ in the North East.
Oh, yeah.
Certainly when we started TalkSport up in the sort of early 2000s, I think there was a guy who worked up there, like Radio Teesside or something like that, or something. But anyway, it doesn't matter. How many Mike Grahams have we known?
Well, I've never really met very many others,
Right.
but there's that guy from Westlife who calls himself Mikey Graham.
Oh, is it?
And there was a wrestler called Mike Graham, funnily enough, who was in America.
Was there a wrestler? God, you wouldn't make much of a wrestler, Mike, would you?
I don't think so, no. It's not
Unless
my
it was
thing.
sumo.
Yeah, very good.
Unless he was a sumo
I wouldn't
wrestler.
fancy... No, I'm not a man of violence, unlike you. Most of my stories do not end in violence.
Right, now, will you be watching the Everton-Liverpool game as well?
No, probably not.
Why?
Because I'll probably be busy with my kids, I should think.
Do you not think it's part...
But I'll watch it later.
Do you think it's part of your responsibility as you work for TalkSport to
of
take
course.
these games in?
Of course I should.
Instead of me having to tell you about them all the time?
Well, you don't have to tell me about them. I'll be watching it probably later on.
I see.
I'll record it and watch it later. The problem is...
I can't watch recorded games because you always know that... I mean, in this day and age, you can't keep... the idea now that you can get home from the pub at night and watch Match of the Day and see games that you don't know the result of is rubbish.
Yeah, well, I don't go to the pub on a Saturday.
You can't do that. No, of course you don't. Of course you don't. Don't you know? Because you do is you open 6 bottles at home. You get absolutely bladdered. You start sending out offensive tweets to people.
No, I think you're confusing me with you, actually.
No, I don't think you are.
No.
And
I've never deleted a tweet in my life. How many have you deleted?
I don't delete tweets.
Really?
No.
Oh, okay. No. Just checking.
If you haven't got the strength and courage of your convictions, then I'm afraid, that's it.
Quite right.
Let me tell you that.
Well,
okay?
by the time that football match starts
Yep.
at 5:30 in the afternoon, you will be in a good place to switch your phone off, I would suggest.
No, I won't at all. You see, this is quite interesting. It's quite interesting what you say there. The Merseyside police have challenged the kick-off time, as you know.
They have.
Because it's
But
5:30.
but unsuccessfully.
Unsuccessfully. They think that the whole population of Liverpool is going to go out and disappear into bladderation during Saturday afternoon, and then it's all going to kick off at the game.
There is a risk of that, I suppose.
I bet you that won't happen. I've got enough confidence in the citizens of Merseyside, citizens of the city of Liverpool. For that not to happen.
Most football fans will go to any given game and there won't be any trouble at all. But there is the police have got an issue because they don't want people drinking all afternoon before the game starts.
Yeah, which is fair enough, but I don't think that. Football fans are a lot more responsible than we give them credit for.
I agree,
and than they were in the past.
Yeah.
And I will not have a drink. I can tell you this for sure until about half an hour before the game starts, if I have a drink at all. I may decide to go through it with a clear... No, I intend to go through it with a clear head. Why do you say that?
Well,
Why
because
are you so
told me
dismissive?
that you go from here down to Wetherspoons and have breakfast in Wetherspoons, and you can have a great breakfast and a couple of pints and be out by 10 o'clock.
But not tomorrow. Because I know that I will have a sort of a drinking obligation if I go to the pub and see some of the boys to have a few pints there in the evening. So I will not be bladderation during the day.
Really?
No,
okay.
definitely not.
Well, maybe you should get a watch that measures how much alcohol you take instead of how many miles you walk.
Fine. I'll have a blood test on Monday morning. We'll test the liver and the kidneys.
All right, we'll get a blood test specialist to come in.
Yeah, good idea.
And find out what's going on after.
By the way, have you told our listeners about the little video we've done of you encouraging our pal to steal my drink?
Yes, we have, and that's on the Two Mics TV, of course, on YouTube. This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics.
Look at the light!
Don't forget to come back tomorrow for another sparkling, as fizzy as a bottle of champagne podcast from the Two Mics. Police car, wah, 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 and flashing
An old
lights.
police car, was it?
No.
From the 60s. Sorry. Do carry on.
I mean, honestly,
Well, they don't sound like that anymore, do they?
they sound like that sort of thing.